Good afternoon, everyone. This is Reverend Crystal. Thank you for joining us. If you are joining us, please let us know who you are. If you are watching on the replay, still let us know who you are. Say something wise and meaningful and intelligent so that we get the gist of who and what you are. So thanks for joining us for the Tell Me More interview this week. It is with Jon Turino. I'm excited about talking with Jon. He has been an officiant for 5 years in the greater Portland, Oregon area, and he has a business called Wedding Your Ceremony Your Way. He also I was looking at his Facebook page, and he has a lot of business and marketing experience. So I am sure that if we can get Jon to talk about those kinds of things, that he'll have a lot, maybe some pointers that he can share with us. So I'm really excited to invite him in. But I wanted to tell you a little bit more about him, because one of the things that Jon does that really adds to the value that he provides for his clients is he educates them on the whole range of what happens in the ceremony, as well as the whole thing about getting the license, how to register the license, and then whether a person wants to have a religious ceremony or a more secular ceremony, whatever it is that a person wants or needs in their ceremony, what their preferences are, then that's where Jon goes with them. So I think you've got the information on here for the Tell Me More. These are the Tell Me More interviews, but also if you are a brand new officiant and you want to get ahead of the game, because there are so many officiants now, people who are interested in this wonderful profession, and if you would like to get the kind of information that will move you forward sooner than later, including how to log the information, what questions to ask, how to create a ceremony, how to communicate with people, then the Kickstart course for new officiants is really going to give you the leg up, as they say. And it's still on the COVID special, which is $49. So it's quite a course, an online course for you if you're interested. So I encourage you to check that out. So having said that, I want to welcome Jon Turino with us today. Hi, Jon.
Good morning, Crystal. Good morning for me, afternoon for you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you're 3 hours difference, right?
Right.
Right, yeah. So Jon and I were having a discussion about, depending on our age group or the kind of things that are going on, of having to deal with COVID-19. And so Jon was explaining some of the things that he's having to do around COVID. So Jon, would you be kind enough to explain to us a little bit about how you're dealing with that situation right now? Because I know it's on people's minds.
Yeah, sure. Basically, I haven't done a ceremony actually since the middle of March. My last one was on March 15th, and we locked down on the 16th. And I've had a lot of clients who have either postponed or outright canceled. Mostly postponements, not too many cancels. And the ones that have had weddings scheduled up through June, I've either postponed them, or they postponed themselves, or I farmed them out to other officiants here in the Portland, Vancouver area. There are 4 or 5 of us who are 5-star officiants who kind of, even though we compete, we cooperate. And so if there's a wedding I can't do because I happen to be in the high-risk group of people over 70 years old, and my wife is a little older than me, so she's scared to death that even if I go do a micro wedding, I might bring the virus home and kill us both. So,
that's horrible to have to live like that.
To preserve marital harmony, I've had to farm these out, and the other officiants have done that for me in the past. Have referred people to me when they've been either double booked or they would have been double booked. So.
Yeah.
We, even though we compete, we cooperate, and it works out really well.
Have you ever met with all those people in the flesh?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have like a local organization, wedding officiants or wedding professionals?
We do. It's called Northwest Wed Pro.
Okay.
And it used to meet once a month for a dinner meeting, each time at a different venue that would host us.
Oh, okay.
And the meal would be, we'd pay for it. It's $25 for the meal, but the caterers would volunteer to do that, and the DJs would provide music for us, and it's kind of a mini reception, if you would, where everybody gets to show their skills.
Was it just the officiants then, or was it all kinds of wedding professionals?
Oh, it's all kinds of different vendors. So
how did you get involved in that? Was that something that you started, or was it something that was already going? Because that's a really important way for a new person to get known and to begin to build their business, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. Networking is really important. I've been a proponent of networking for years and years, and this was started by a woman named Amber and her husband Eric about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. And I found out about it because I belong to a lot of Facebook groups, wedding associated Facebook groups, and I'd actually worked with Amber at a wedding one time. So she had my information and invited me into the group. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have a group up here called Northern Michigan Wedding Professionals, and I had a meeting with them yesterday. We've been doing lots of Zoom meetings, and I don't know when the last time was that you met with that group, if it's only doing it in person or not, but we've been doing it every sometimes twice a week. And I will say that people are really scrambling to try to figure out how to do this with the social distancing, because our governor is pretty strict, which I don't mind. And I think Oregon's is as well, right? Or is it just Washington State's? Because you guys are very liberal in general. I mean, I think of you, Washington, California, and Oregon as being very progressive.
Right.
And Michigan has its pockets of being progressive, but just all the little logistic things that a lot of times people don't think of. Do you have anything that you tell these couples that are trying to book you now for either next year or later this year? Do you have anything that you tell them about what you're going to be observing because of COVID, or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very straightforward with them about my issue and my wife's issue, so that I'm hoping that by July and August, I have 6 on the books for July and 12 for August right now.
We're going to be busy.
Hoping that we're under control, although I am sincerely concerned about, with all of these protests going on and all these big crowds with no masks on, that 2 or 3 weeks from now, we're going to see a huge spike, and it's going to extend our lockdown. Right now, Oregon has about 4,000 cases total and only about 150 deaths, which is sad, but much better than many other states.
Yeah.
So I'm planning to be able to do the July ones. If not, when I talk to clients about it, I explain to them that my situation, and that if I can't do their ceremony for them, I will refer them to 1 or 2 of the other officiants in the area that I know and that I've worked with and that I know do a good job. So typically when somebody books me, they pay a non-refundable $50 retainer to lock in their date and to get me to put the script together for them. So if I do have to refer somebody out, the script has already been written. The clients have already put their edits in, and it's pretty well set. So the officiant really only has to go and actually, read the script and marry them and sign the paperwork. So
you do the same ceremony all the time, and then you customize it, or is it all completely unique?
I have templates, one for religious, one for non-religious. And I customize them. If somebody wants to add a sand ceremony or an extra reading or a unity candle, or I just put a script together for a couple. One is a Roman Catholic and the other is Jewish. So in that script, we've got a couple of extra prayers, and then we have the breaking of the glass and the blessing of the wine, which are the Jewish traditions. So
I think that kind of thing is fascinating. I love being
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to just to learn from someone who has those kinds of traditions, how to incorporate that into a ceremony. I mean, I think it's one of the creative things about being a wedding officiant. Don't you? I mean, don't you feel
oh
like
yeah,
it has to be creative? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I love learning. I've even done a couple of Buddhist weddings, and the
Oh, really?
hardest part of that is pronunciation.
Oh, really? So were the people like from India or Pakistan or something like that, or were they? It was just that they were
They were typically
American.
Asian. Typically Asian.
Oh, Asian. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, but Google Translate is a wonderful gadget because not only will it translate from one language to another, but it also will speak the words to you in the language that you want.
Oh, really?
So you can actually, you know, put up a word there and have it tell you the right pronunciation.
That's awesome. Is that like a free app or is that something because
It's
I don't
yeah,
know about
yeah,
free
it's free. Google Translate. Yeah, wonderful tool. Yeah.
that would be something that someone could use, like, because I know a couple of times people have asked about Spanish translations as well, so
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
would do the same kind of thing too. Yeah, because I think bilingual also is a tool that you can use to promote your services, that that you're able to do that kind of thing. So you've been doing it for 5 years. What made you interested in doing it? What led you to become an officiant? Because you were ordained through the Unity Life, was it
University.
Universal Life, right?
Right. Well, my background is in high-tech marketing and capital equipment and software sales and marketing, and I spent many years in the 80s and early 90s traveling the world, teaching and preaching to design engineers, electronic engineers, how to design their circuitry to be easier to test. So I have a lot of experience in terms of public speaking and leading seminars and stuff like that. And I was doing some marketing consulting, and a friend of mine asked me to marry her and her husband to be. And I looked at Lily and I said, Lily, I don't know anything about marrying people. So she handed me $60 and she said, go online and get ordained and put a script together for us and marry us. And it was what I would call a trial by fire. There were 300 guests, 7 bridesmaids, 7 grooms,
Wow.
flower girls. It was at what is now the Sentinel Hotel, but was the Governor Hotel here in Portland. Very fancy, very high-end venue. But I loved doing it, and she loved the way it happened. In fact, she took a picture of her and her husband being married, are the trademark photo on my website and all my other stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
And so
She
I
must have
love
really
doing it.
trusted you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
know Lily for a long time. So, yeah. And she knew I could stand up and talk and that sort of thing. So, anyway, it was so much fun that for the rest of 2015, she started referring me out, and I did 15 weddings the rest of that year.
Wow.
That's when I discovered Wedding Wire and the Knot and Thumbtack, and got involved in saying, "Hey, this is a fun thing to do, and it's a wonderful thing to do, and then maybe I can turn it into a business that would supplement my retirement." So then I did about 45 of them in 2016 and 2017, and was about 50, and 2018 and 19 were almost 100 each year. So
Wow.
it's
When does your season start and when does it end?
typically April here in the Portland or Pacific Northwest. I'll have a few in April, a few more in May. June is really popular, but out here, July, August, and September are the peak months
Okay.
because in Oregon, particularly Portland, Vancouver area, it could rain through the 4th of July. So,
Is that the rainy season then, April through July?
pardon me?
Is that the rainy season? April
The
through
rainy,
July? Because that's what I think
rainy,
out there is
the
rainy.
rainy season is October through June.
Oh, okay. All right. Is it cold too?
No, it can be warm,
Okay.
but you never know out here what the weather's going to do from day to day. I mean, it could be 75 degrees and sunny today, and it can be 60 degrees and raining tomorrow.
Yeah.
and this is early June. So, and what I just recited is actually the forecast. Today is a sunny day. It's going to be about 75, and tomorrow it's going to be a bunch colder and wet. So,
you live in such a beautiful area.
It is gorgeous
and green, and you've got the mountain. Like a couple of those photos that you sent me had the mountains in the background, and it's so. I mean, I think that one of the wonderful things about being an officiant is being able to be outside in these areas. And I don't know about you, I'm sure it happens with you. You're doing that many weddings every year that you discover new places all the time and be invited into places that we would never, I mean, normally I would never go to some of them, you know, they're just, you know,
yeah, I really like seeing the new places, and I've done a fair number of weddings here in the Portland and Vancouver metro areas, but I've also done a bunch out in Mount Hood, the Columbia Gorge, down as far as Salem and Independence, and anywhere from little 10 people weddings in a park to a couple of people in front of a waterfall to let's say the 200 and 300 guests at the fancy venues. So and they're great places to visit, and I meet a lot of new people, not only new vendors, but also my clients.
Absolutely, wonderful people.
And they're really good about doing reviews for me too. So that helps.
So people will just do it automatically, or do you have to get after them a little bit?
Well, sometimes you got to get after them a little bit. But when we first meet, I confirm with them where they found me, so that I can figure out, what's working, advertising.
That's your marketing background.
Yes.
And
so I find out where they found me, first found me, because sometimes it's not clear. They might have found me one place and booked me a different place.
What's your favorite? Would you have a favorite of the ones that you mentioned, or what works for you the best?
Well, right now, Google and my website are working the absolute best. And they're
a bunch of calls from Google too. Much more than ever before.
Yeah. Well, it's partly because I do a lot of posting on Facebook and LinkedIn and Google My Business. Google My Business and especially Facebook. And I use a lot of keywords and hashtags when I do the posts on
Facebook. Hashtags?
Hashtags, yeah.
I haven't gotten on the hashtag. I do a little bit, but I haven't gotten a hashtag bandwagon. What advice would you give about hashtagging?
Definitely do it. Keywords like
what to do, how to do it.
Hashtag wedding, hashtag ceremony, hashtag vows, hashtag Portland, hashtag Vancouver, so that when people put in search keywords, Google will find those tags and include you as part of it. And the more you get, the higher up on the page you get.
So won't that get you like if I put in hashtag vows, then I would be put in the same jumble as you are, and you're way on the other side of the world.
Yes.
Country. So how does that work? Because then they now have to sort through that, right?
Yeah. Well, most people will narrow their search to either something like Officiants near me, or Officiants Portland, or Officiants Vancouver.
Yeah.
So, and those are words that also need to be hashtagged in. So, officiant, minister, celebrant, those kinds of words are handy.
I suppose I should look at it as just part of the job that I have to do, but sometimes like writing hashtags, it's ugly. I think it looks ugly.
Yeah, it doesn't look
pretty. But it's like, I don't know. I just don't like the way it looks, but it really, it's working for you. If you're doing 100 weddings a year in a season, in an area where you have a season that's similar to mine, I've never done that many. I would love to do that many, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd love to do that many. I feel like I'd be so busy. I'd be like, and I don't want to be that busy. I want to enjoy like where I live,
Right. Yeah. Now, one of the things you can do about the hashtag thing is you can post on Facebook, for example, and then put all your hashtags in the first comment, and that'll still work. And then it doesn't mess up your post.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a good thing to know.
Yeah, one of my friends taught me that. So
Wow. Now, do you use Instagram too?
I use it, but not as often as I probably should. I have
That's how I feel. Yeah, I should.
I have an account and a business account on Instagram, and I do post fairly regularly, mainly from actual weddings that I've done and settings for the weddings, because Instagram until very recently you had to do it with pictures from your phone, and I do a lot of my work on this desktop machine. So
Yeah.
I think Instagram now you can post from your desktop. I haven't tried it yet because I haven't done any weddings recently, so I haven't had much to post.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of people posting things from weddings from last year or the year before.
Yeah, and I repost things from the Knot and from Wedding Wire, but those don't fit on Instagram. They're more on the Facebook side. So
No, there's always the people asking, like, should I advertise on Wedding Wire? Should I do not? Do you have a preference? Or because I don't know what it's like now. Now that they have merged, is it? Do you still have? Do you know if I should find out? Do you know if people still have an option of whether they use the Knot or the Wedding Wire? Or is it just Wedding Pro now? Do you know?
I think they can now. You can still choose between Wedding Wire or the Knot. Advertise on one or both. They have a fairly big discount for the Knot if you if you or decide to use Wedding Wire and they want to add the Knot. It's pretty inexpensive.
Oh, okay.
I do a fair amount of tracking of where my leads come from. I mentioned that. I asked people where they found me, and
do they know? Do they always know? I find people know.
Not always, but most of the time they do. And as I said when we were talking about reviews, I tell them during the initial consultation that I'm going to be asking for a review afterwards. So I have like 92 reviews on Wedding Wire now. They're all 5 stars, and that's very valuable in terms of credibility with clients.
Yeah.
Reviews. I've asked clients, what made you call me? And they said, we saw your reviews.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those things are worth their weight in gold. So
That's
I've got a lot up there.
Yeah.
And Wedding Wire and the Knot are expensive. My ROI with Google and my website and stuff like that is like 20 and 30. And my ROI with the Knot and Wedding Wire is like 2.9 to 3.2. So, a third of the fee I get for a ceremony that I got through Wedding Wire or the Knot ends up in Wedding Wire's pocket. Whereas with, Google and the other ones, it's pennies compared to that. So
do you use AdWords too then, Google AdWords?
I'm sorry, ask again.
Do you use Google AdWords?
I tried AdWords a few times, but I didn't get the results I wanted out of it.
So when you did Google, because I do Google My Business as well, but that doesn't cost me anything.
No, that's a free service from Google.
Yeah. So is there something on Google that you use that you pay for?
Well, you can. It used to be called AdWords. I think it's called AdSense now, but you can do pay per click or pay per impression, or there's several options. And Google actually has a team that will help you put together a good ad or a little text ad that you can just have it out there. But again, you're talking $50 to $100 to a couple $100 a month to use Google. Whereas I personally pay about $150 to Wedding Wire and the Knot. So
you have you do the premium thing, right?
Yeah, I'm a featured rep. I'm not on the tiers that they have. I'm a featured, but not a not the top tier. Yeah. The second from the top. Yeah.
The thing that works for me where I live is there are a number of officiants, but there's not that many. So I have the lowest, but I'm still above the fold because there's just not that much competition. But you're in a bigger, and it's not that we don't have a lot of officiants, but I don't know. But where you are, I would think there'd be a lot more people that you have to compete with, so it would be worth it to do that. What would you tell somebody if that was new? Or is really thinking about advertising? How would you convince them that spending the money on advertising and getting all that going, where should they start and why should they do it?
Well, thinking back over these years, I think that the first thing I would do is make sure that I was active on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and get involved in all of the groups, both the groups of professionals and the groups like we have groups out there called Portland, Vancouver Weddings. And there are thousands of people who join that group who are planning weddings. So I did a search, and you go into Facebook and you search for anything that's wedding related. And if it looks like it's something that couples are looking at, not just vendors, but couples are looking at, to join those groups and then post some decent content. And then I also belong to the groups like Northwest Wed Pro, the wedding officiants, or wedding
Professionals?
Vendors here. So networking is important as well. So you want to meet other vendors so that they know that you're in the business, and then once you've got enough revenue coming in or enough inquiries there, and do the Google My Business one, do that site right up. And then when I started out, I first used Thumbtack. And today I find that I don't get very much business at all from Thumbtack because my prices are not as low as some of the other people who are on there. So
that's what I would say about Thumbtack. That's what I've heard. I don't mean to interrupt you, but because I hear there's some people who do very well with Thumbtack, but I always kind of had the attitude that Thumbtack is where the tire kickers are.
I think that's probably true to a large extent. Yes.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, that's something.
Yeah, I mean, there's a niche for everybody. So
yeah. So go ahead.
Start out with the Facebook and the Instagram and the Google My Business, and if it looks like you're going to have enough revenue to support, $1,500 a year of advertising with Wedding Wire and the Knot, I would consider it and use it at least for a year or two, and check your return on investment. See if you're getting enough business to justify continuing to pay for it.
Yeah. Now you go to don't you do wedding shows? Aren't you big on wedding shows?
I normally visit wedding shows. I do not exhibit at wedding shows. Way too expensive.
Did you ever try them?
Not the big ones. Some of our groups here hold small monthly things at different venues, and for $50 you can get a table and be there for 2 or 3 hours and meet couples. And then we have a group here called The Art of Weddings, and they did a really wonderful thing this past year called the Venue Crawl, Portland Venue Crawl. And what they did is they charged people anywhere from $20 to $50, and they put them on a bus and take them to 8 different venues during the day. And they basically had 8 buses and 8 venues, and so they staggered them. So during the day, you would meet all 200 roughly of those people, or have the chance to meet that many people. And it was like a mini wedding show, because there'd be food, there'd be drink, there'd be the venue, there'd be the photographers, there'd be a design of what a reception would look like, including the glassware and the flowers, and it was extremely well done. And that was free to the members. Now, it was not cheap to join that. I joined it last year, but Art of Weddings is a great place here in Portland. So if you can find groups like that do unique marketing things, those are great opportunities. Yeah. But the big shows, I normally just walk through them and say hello to people who I've met at various weddings, the venues and the DJs and the folks like that. Because if you're a photographer, for example, and you get $5,000 per wedding, you can afford a show like that. If you're an officiant who gets $300, you'd have to book 100 weddings right there.
Right,
So
exactly. Yeah, that's why I don't go anymore either. And a lot of the leads that I've gotten, because I don't know if this is what you're saying, but what I feel about wedding shows is it's more to connect with other vendors and me getting to know other vendors so that I know who to recommend and
right,
that they get to know me so that they can recommend me. So I will give out more information more to other vendors because most of the couples, even especially like the ones here, you have to chip in for a gift or some kind of a drawing.
right.
And even the winners that I've had, and I've done 3 of them, and that's been years and years ago, and all the time and the effort. You're absolutely right that if you're a photographer or a DJ or someone who's charging a lot, it's worth it for your even a cake person. But for us, and and that kind of brings up the whole thing is I wish that we were charging more for our services, that officiants as a whole, because we do put a lot of time and energy into it, and we are like being an MC and we're running things. But it's so easy for that to be a side gig for people
Yeah.
rather than something where you can really make a living at it. But I know there's some that do,
Yeah.
but not as many as like a photographer, whatever.
There's even 1 or 2 DJs out here who are also officiants,
Right. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
kind of interesting. And there's an awful lot of people who would just use a brother or a friend or somebody like that. So,
Right. Well, and that's really why I started the Kickstart course for new officiants, was because I thought that all these people would want to learn how to do it so that they didn't mess up. Because you've probably gotten calls every year from someone who said, "Oh yeah, I asked my friend to officiate for me, and they called me like a week before the wedding or 2 weeks, and they chickened out. Will you do it?" And I always attributed that not only maybe because sometimes people are younger and they just don't realize they have something better that they want to do. But I also think sometimes it's that they realize that it is important and they don't know what they're doing. So anyway, I thought the Kickstart course for new officiants would be wildly popular, and it is not wildly popular. So, I have it there. I'll have it up. It's a great little course,
right.
but, yeah. So what I'm kind of doing is I get to learn from all of these wonderful people that I get to interview, and maybe at some point I'll put a course together of marketing tips and all that kind of stuff. So it's all in one place, because I think there's value to having something all in one place. It's organized and there's a system to it. It just cuts down all that trial by error.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
I wish I'd had that.
yeah, if at all possible, it's best to learn from other people's mistakes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was lucky because I went to seminary, so we had like a whole, I'm a unity minister, so we're pretty liberal when it comes, and we don't have like the thick seminary stuff that some seminaries do. But we had a whole long session that was about creating ceremonies and practicing, and we got to get married and remarried, and we bounced ideas off everybody. So it was a great experience as far as that went, because we got a lot of practice, so that when I finally hit the ground running, I was a little bit more experienced than some people are. But
Sure.
Yeah. So live and learn. It's been it's been interesting. I love being an officiant.
Yeah, I do too. It's a wonderful vocation. I mean,
Yeah.
you participate in one of the happiest days of a couple's life, and
We hope.
when I talk to, we hope. From the officiant side, it's great because there's no customer support involved.
Yeah.
I don't guarantee anything other than that I'll tie the knot for you.
Yeah.
But
Don't you? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Don't you wish that we had, if we had some kind of a Geiger counter or something that could say, "Yep, I know this one's going to work," and "Yep, I know that one's not." I don't know that anyone would listen to us anyway, but I've had a couple of conversations, not a lot, with photographers and stuff, or different other wedding professionals, and they'll say things like, "Yeah, I don't think that one's going to work." And I'm like, well, I don't know. And, and I've been surprised.
I know.
You've heard back from some couples and people that I thought were like going to make it for sure. I hear in 5 years that they're getting divorced or whatever, and it's always sad. But I don't know. I think people should get divorced if they're really not going to work on it and they don't care.
Yeah.
It's better not to suffer and, start over. It's just that wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
So the chances are that you'll run into it again. How long have you been married?
22 years coming up this July.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you wonder sometimes if they're going to make it, but I try not to judge. I try to be optimistic about it.
Yeah.
I think part of my job during the ceremony, particularly, and before the ceremony, it's like, look, guys, I know you haven't done this before, or you've only done it once before. So let me explain to you how it works and how it's going to go. And I do a lot of the repeat after me for the vows and for the ring exchange.
Yeah.
So they don't have to memorize anything.
Yeah, I tell them, don't ever try to memorize. Don't.
Yeah, and I'll take you through it, and I'll remind you to breathe and things like that, so that you can actually enjoy your ceremony instead of being quite so nervous, because you're going to be standing up there in front of potentially hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And that's nerve-wracking. That's scary. So
right, yeah.
My job, keep them calm, keep them, keep the whole thing under control, so that they can be fairly relaxed. So
I bet you're very good at that.
Well, I like to think so. As I say, the reviews have been great, and I love my clients. I Facebook friend almost all of them if they're on it, and each year when I see that it's been a year since I took a photo, or I see a happy anniversary, I always add a happy anniversary wish as well. So there have been 4 or 5 over the last 1 or 2, or actually over the last week, there were 4 or 5 1 year or 2 year anniversaries. So
I do you keep in touch with your company?
Only on
like email them or anything like that?
No, only cursorily on, if I see something on Facebook.
Okay, so it's all Facebook.
My job is done once they're married and the marriage license has been signed and sent in.
Yeah. I do keep in touch with my couples, and I recommend that other people do. I would like to keep in touch with them once a month, but I don't. Only because it keeps my name in front of them and what I do, so that if they do have a friend or whoever who's coming up to my area, I get a lot of people that like, okay, so this is Michigan, right? So I'm up here, and we get a lot of people from here and here. So, it's almost like a destination wedding. Or they're from Ohio or Indiana, or I get a lot of Chicago people and stuff like that. So they may or may not have friends that are going to come up to this area, because it is really set up for being weddings. But, where you are is also, because it's so beautiful, that I would think a lot of people would want to come up there.
Yeah, I do a lot of weddings where people have come from Alabama or Tennessee or Florida or New York, and they want to get married in a waterfall or in a park or something like that. Back to that issue of keeping in touch. When I was doing the marketing consulting work, I built about 2,000 name mailing list using MailChimp, and I used to do a monthly newsletter. In retrospect, if I had managed to get the email, well, I usually have their email addresses, but in retrospect, I think that it's be very worthwhile to build a list of the existing clients and send them a newsletter once a month or something like that. I agree with you on that. I just never did it. Because it does keep your name in front of them. They'll say, "Oh, the guy who married us, he was so wonderful. Call him." So
yeah. It's never too late, John.
What's that?
It's never too late.
Well, that's true. That's true.
MailChimp is still going.
I'm busy enough. So
yeah. I've been using Infusionsoft, and have you ever heard of them?
Yes, I've heard of it.
But they're like, they're a Porsche, and I only really need a Chevy.
Right.
you know, but they've been so good to me. And it's like one of the things that I like, and I think is worth the investment. I use the knot now. I've had the wedding wire, but I'm kind of grandfathered into wedding wire because now that I don't use it, I still have like a basic little site up, but they don't do that anymore. But the educational things, like right now, they're having like a week-long, teaching about stuff, different, marketing things, and like so many other things, I sign up for them and then I don't show up. So, when people don't show up for stuff too, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. In fact, I'm kind of surprised that there isn't anybody here because there's a whole bunch of people who said that they were going to come. So I hope I didn't not. It says it's doing everything. But anyway, it's summer. It's a beautiful day. Who knows what people are doing? But people will watch the replay too. And I will send you a link to it so that if you want to use it, however you want to. But in closing, is there anything, any good piece of advice, or what is it? And I always ask everybody, what do you know for sure?
Well, I know for sure that I really love what I'm doing, and I think it's important work. I think that it sets a tone perhaps for the marriage going forward, that yes, we can all work together kind of a thing. I do get some requests now and then to do premarital counseling, and I don't do that, although I did put together a little 2-page PDF about Jon's happy marriage tips.
Oh, that's good. That's great. I think that kind of thing is really a good idea. Something for you to give people. Yep.
Yeah, those are things that I've learned over these 22 plus years. So, but what do I know for sure? I don't know. There's
I know that I don't know.
I know that there's a lot I don't know. That I'm sure of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I learn every day. I think when you stop learning, you start dying. So it's important to keep learning. It's important to stay informed, important to read, to keep up with your social media and professional associations like Wedding Officiants of America and International Association of Professional Wedding Officiants. And, you just keep learning and keep practicing and get better at what you do every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's true that getting older is not for sissies. I know that for sure.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So here's one thing that I don't know if you know this, and then I'll let you go. But do you know what they call these? Because I don't know about you, but I'm getting most everything, all the requests that I'm getting. In fact, I booked 2 today, are those 10, 20 people ceremonies, not the big ones. Do you know what they call those now?
Micro weddings, I think, right?
Yeah, but there's another name.
That I don't know.
Mini monies.
Oh, mini moni, huh?
I love that name. Makes me think of, what was that guy? Mini Me?
Don't remember that one.
He used to be on Saturday Night Live. Me and me, it was like it was sort of like a play on Sean Connery in 007.
Oh, okay.
But it was shag carpeting and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, Jon, thank you for filling in and sharing what you know, because you're just you seem like just such a kind, warm-hearted person, and I think that's what makes officiating and finding an officiant like you so valuable to people. So I wish you the very best. I hope I see you in the group. I know I'll see you around, and thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much, Crystal, for having me.
You're very welcome. Well, we will see you in the group, okay?
All right. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, Jon.
Right.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. If you have any comments for me or for Jon, please feel free to post them in the group and or here in the feed, and I'll make sure that Jon sees them and can answer any questions that you have. Next week on June 10th at 1 o'clock, I'm going to have Christy Shannon Brooks. She is actually another Michigan officiant and she has beautiful websites and that kind of thing. So I hope that you'll enjoy seeing her as well. And again, thank you to Jon Turino for joining us today. And I hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you in the group. Be safe and be kind. We need love and, genuine love, heartfelt love right now. So anyway, thank you so much. Love to you all. Bye.